Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you are ready. Hope you're prepared for what is to come. For the grand finals of the Korean StarCraft League, week number 43. And we've had a pretty interesting event so far. We've had Dark, of course, making his way through towards through the semis into the finals. Had an amazing series against Australia. It was a 2-0, but if you missed out on Dark vs Australia, I recommend checking out the VODs because it was a fun and amazing series. Australia with very creative playstyles, with a very creative build in both Game 1 and in Game 2, did actually pose a threat to Dark and did hold his own for quite some time. So I do recommend checking out that Australia series. Likewise, NightMare popping off in the PvPs as usual. Again, NightMare, his best matchups are PvP and PvT. That is where he can punch up. We've seen NightMare take down the best that Korea has to offer. When it comes to Protoss and Terran, he's brought down Gumiho, Cure, Byun, Hero, Classic, Creator. Doesn't matter who you are in Korea, you can be brought low by NightMare. But NightMare, the matchup that he has to work on, the matchup that he has been struggling in the most is PvZ. I say that, if you remember, in the most recent season of GSL, NightMare did qualify for GSL over Solar. That did occur in Code A. Solar, he made it through afterwards. He did still qualify for GSL afterwards and won the whole thing, but did actually drop a series to NightMare. So NightMare, he has been working on it. He has been excelling and improving. That is true. But he's up against the best Zerg player in all of South Korea. He's up against Dark. Can NightMare pull this off? Can he bring it home and claim a second win in a row? As a reminder, NightMare is our reigning KSL champion from KSL number 42, where he took down Byun in those finals. Until then, though, very briefly, !KSL in the chat if you guys want a link to the Patreon. If you want to support this tournament, the KSL, the Korean StarCraft League, it is funded, it is supported by the community for the community. And so, if you do wish to, you can support the tournament. You can gain replay packs, and there are other benefits as well if you so wish. Again, you don't have to support it by any means, but there are different tiers and there are different amounts that you can support, that you can help fund the event if you wish. If you do wish, up to you, of course. Up to you if you wish to do so or not. The events will be running regardless, but I did mention before that this tournament used to be weekly. The KSL used to be a weekly tournament, but because support and the hype for the tournament has died down over the past year, the overall support on Patreon has been slowly dying down month after month, to the point where this tournament is no longer weekly. To try to keep this going, it is now a bi-weekly. Every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks we do host this event, at least until the Patreon picks up again. If it does pick up, then maybe this can become a weekly again. So, you know, there's value there. By no means do I want to like guilt trip you or anything. Like, regardless, the KSL, it's gonna happen. Like, it's happening regardless, whether it's bi-weekly or weekly. It's still a thing. Would be nice if it was weekly, but you know, we're still here for some amazing StarCraft nonetheless. Still here for it. Ooh. And here we go. We're diving into our grand finals. We're diving into game number 1. It's gonna be taking place on Hard Lead. Let's go. Let us go. Again, it's been quite some time since I've casted these two face-off. It's been a couple of weeks, if not a month, of play, so I'm excited to see how NightMare has been adjusting his PvZ, how he's been adapting, how he has been improving. And here we go, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Hard Lead, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing his new team, Talon Esports, the best Zerg player in all of South Korea. It is Dark. Going for a 15-15. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing himself, currently teamless, but deserving to be on a team. He just brought down Hero. It is NightMare. Here we go. Again, a very safe opener out of Dark. We've spoken about this already, but just to reiterate, a 15-15 is a build designed to throw down this hatchery before the probe arrives. Because it's so early, the probe doesn't get here in time to block you, to force the Zerg player to expand elsewhere and take the linear third or the triangular third and make things awkward in the early game. I think this is really smart, especially on hard lead. Hard lead has the shortest rush distance in the map pool, shortest rush distance by ground, I should say. As a result, aggression is definitely something we see a lot of on this map. We see a lot of aggression, so Dark playing it safe here, making sure that in case it is a Twilight Council opener out of NightMare, Dark will be set up to defend. Behind this, of course, into a 15 spawning pool. The downside of this build from Dark is the late gases. Really late gases from Dark, which means late link speed, which means late map presence from Dark. If you remember, we casted Dark versus Estrella on Alcyone, and specifically, Dark went for this opener on Alcyone, and Estrella was able to take advantage of him and go for a very fast third. He was so greedy, and because Dark has delayed link speed, Estrella, he got away with a very fast third. Dark, he tried to follow it up with an all-in, didn't quite work, wasn't quite able to punish. My apologies, it wasn't on Alcyone, it was on Oceanborn, if I remember correctly. It was on Oceanborn. So, we'll see how NightMare does respond, we'll see how he reacts, we'll see what kind of build he goes for. Based on the pylon, looks like a Stargate. Looking like a Stargate-based opener, otherwise we'd see it a little bit further back to hide the tech behind the mineral line, to hide the tech elsewhere. As yeah, the Stargate is on the way. I imagine this is going to be an Oracle-based opener. I'll be honest, I have... the Void Ray openers, the Void Ray builds were quite trendy for the month of December. And even November as well. I'd say November, December, we saw a lot of Void Ray play in PvZ, but that has since died off. I haven't really seen many players consistently go Void Ray first in PvZ in quite a number of weeks. So, yeah, I guess it's kind of fallen out of favor. It was strong for a while, but I imagine a lot of players got used to it. For those curious, the Void Ray opener basically would often hide Glaive Adept follow-ups, but I guess it got a little bit too common. It would also hide double Stargate into Sky Toss as well, or double Stargate Phoenix. Oh, speaking of, I'm like, I haven't seen it in weeks, papi. Oh, it's back. There we go. It is going to be a Void Ray first out of NightMare. Across the map, we do get a couple of worker kills. 2 drones do go down, so not too bad of a start for NightMare. Looking at the units lost tab, we don't quite lose anything either, as the Adepts, they do barely manage to escape. They do get away. Now, as I was getting at, this Void Ray opener, the power behind this is we shut down Overlords, and we keep Dark in the dark as well. And we can hide tech. Behind this, we can go into a Twilight Council, into Glaive Adepts. We could go into a second Stargate, into Sky Toss. We could go into a Charge All-In, or we can go into Standard Play. There's a lot available here to NightMare, and again, it's going to be difficult for Dark to get a read on what's going on, as the Overlord is going to be shut down. For those that are curious, specifically, it was Classic. Classic is very fond of Void Ray firsts, but as I just mentioned, I haven't seen Classic go for it. Like, he did it non-stop. Again, a couple of months ago in November and December, but recently it's kind of fallen off a little bit. Basically, post ESL Masters Winter, it has fallen off. Again, maybe it was just too played out. So do you see an Oracle follow-up after that first Void Ray? Of course, Dark doesn't know. The goal here is that NightMare, he's hoping that Dark skips out on Spores, because there's a Void Ray, and unlikely for there to be an Oracle. Behind this, third base is on the way. And Dark, he doesn't cut Spores. We have a Spore in the main, we have 2 Queens at the natural, and we have a only 1 Spore, actually. Okay. But 2 Queens at the natural, 2 Queens at the third. And we have a standard follow-up. It is going to be a Forge and Twilight Council. Again, just because you open up Void Ray doesn't mean you're hiding tech. Or, I mean, I guess it does mean you're hiding tech. But it doesn't mean that it has to be something, you know, terrifying and all-in. Could just be standard play. The point is that you're not fully aware. Don't know. Because you get 2 drones in the main base. Oracle gets forced back. Likewise, the Void Ray gets forced back in the center of the map as well. At least NightMare does keep the Oracles alive. And he's going for a massive gateway explosion, actually. Oh my god. 4 gates on the way, 2 already done, 6 gateways in total. Are we going for Blink? We are. Blink and +1 on the horizon, but a very committed Blink style here from NightMare. He's going to be in the face of Dark, and if Dark is too greedy, if Dark drones up too much, he will be in trouble. Will be in trouble here as NightMare is setting up his third. Getting it saturated. Dark droning up to around 53. To around 60 even, And I do think that 66 is a good count to stop at. For those that are curious, 66 drones is 3 base saturation. There's 3 base saturation here for the Zerg player. Ideally, that's where we stop, and then we can focus on Ling, Bane, Roach, Ravager. Plus on melees on the way, so we are going for a Ling heavy composition with Roaches and Ravagers to support. The Void Ray does arrive, and we do cancel the 4th. Very nicely done. Ooh, I spoke too soon as we lose the Oracle in the process. The Void Ray! We get too greedy. The Void Ray goes down as well. NightMare, misjudging the situation again, just got a little bit too greedy there and does lose his Oracle and his Void Ray. Suddenly not too worth it here for NightMare. Behind this, remember, we had the gateway explosion. 6 gateways, Prism is on the way, and NightMare is pushing. He's pushing with Mass Blink Stalker, a very aggressive style. Very aggressive push. And Dark didn't overdrone. He is teching though. He's got an Infestation Mid on the way, soon to be a Hive. 4th base as well. Sorry, 5th base and a 4th as we double expand. But Dark is amassing an army. He's got 39 Lings. He's got Roaches on the way as well. He doesn't have eyes on this army though. He doesn't see. He doesn't know. Ooh, as the final Oracle goes down. That is huge actually. Without Oracles, we cannot support this army against Lings. Oracles are amazing supportive units here. They can activate the Pulsar Beam. They can throw down Stasis Traps. They shut down Lings so hard, but without any Oracles, NightMare, this army is a little bit vulnerable. Stalkers have arrived. The Lings, they collapse on these Stalkers. Blink is used, and now we can just shut this down. And again, typically we would have 3 Oracles to support, but we have none. 0 Oracles are here. Stalkers are being chased down. Very efficient fight here. We catch the army. We force a recall. Ay, ay, ay. A couple of Adepts are warped in, doing what they can, but Dark, he's in control. He's in control of this game. And NightMare, he bled out so much. Did see a couple of workers falling. NightMare reinforcing. How many Stalkers did we lose? 8. Oh my god. 8 Stalkers went down. Expensive losses. Doesn't sound like a lot. It's like, what? Only 8 Stalkers? I mean, they're expensive. And the power of this build is that you build up Stalkers every time. You build them up. You preserve them with your blink control. And if you don't, then you lose, again, a lot of momentum. You lose a lot of control of the map. As we're getting into double Colossus production. Very tech-heavy style. Double Rover, double Colossus here on the way for NightMare. That will help against the Lings. But NightMare has to back off. And Dark has so much more freedom. He's happily droning up to 77, soon to be 80. Hive is done. Vipers are on the way. Remember, in the midst of the initial defense, we threw down the Infestation bit. And Dark, he gets away with the Hive. So even though Colossi are powerful, even though Colossi are amazing against Lings, we already have Vipers. We already have the answer to the problem that is Colossus. Ultra Cavern on the way. Once again, Dark working towards Ling Bane into Ultra. We did see a lot of this against Estrella. It's Dark's go-to. His go-to composition here in ZvP does lead into Ultras. Afterwards, we can start thinking about, you know, potentially like a Broodlord transition with Broodlord Infestor. But we don't need it. Not yet. Not now. Meanwhile, we shouldn't be the Protoss player shouldn't be pushing until we have at least 4 Colossi. We have 2, soon to be 3. There we go. 4th is on the way. We are moving out. Looks like we will come across some of the Ling Bane. We go Banelings. They have been spotted. We dive on the army. The blink is brutal though because we can die. Well, we can punish this. The Lings, they get a full surround. A brutal blink from NightMare. At the same time, Dark, he does push towards the center base, and so many Stalkers go down. Oh my god! That was 16! 16 Stalkers did fall. A big blow to the army of NightMare, and Dark, he is remaxing already. And NightMare plummets in supply. Again, he was baited by the Banelings. He didn't know, he didn't see what the hell he was blinking into, and the Vipers, they're full of energy. We're looking to yoink. And there we go, we yoink in one of the Colossi. We get a second. There's 2 more behind this. But we force back the army. We expose the Colossi. Good juggling out of NightMare. But there's just an overwhelming Zerg army. The swarm is here. And Dark, he's snowballing out of control. We have the overcharge, but there's only 1 Colossus left, and it's barely alive. It goes down to the Lings. Colossus does fall. And again, NightMare, he just lost far too much far too quickly. With this Blink Stalker style, you cannot afford to lose as many Stalkers as we did. And with that, NightMare, he loses control of the fourth. GG gets called, and Dark will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Again, just some brutal engagements out of NightMare. I do have to question the first push. Like it's a hard position to be in. If you remember, NightMare, in the early game, he lost 2 Oracles. He lost both of his Oracles. And part of me feels like as soon as you lose those 2 Oracles, we want to deviate away from the push that we were building up towards. Like, this Stalker aggression from NightMare is so much less threatening when you don't have Oracles. Without Oracles, you can see that those Lings, they can go to town. Like, Dark can just have his way with that Stalker army. There's nothing stopping him from getting surrounds and diving on top of them without any Oracles to support. So part of me feels like NightMare probably should have pulled back and not committed with that first push. At the same time, though, because his entire build was designed to go for that timing, because he had committed so hard to his gateways, because he had delayed his 4th base, because he had delayed the rest of his tech, like, it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? It's like, it was a brutal decision to fight then and there, but at the same time, if we pull back, then we fall behind anyway, right? Like, it's like, regardless, we would have been in a rough position. And NightMare, he had to make a rough choice. His choice was to commit anyway, and he did pay a price for it, did lose a lot of Stalkers, and that was kind of the beginning of the end there. The first domino to fall, as Dark was able to collapse on NightMare multiple times in that game. GG, well played. With that, Dark does take the first game, but now we're getting his game number 2. Número 2. Is Talon Dark the Dark? Yes, yes. Yes, Dark joined Talon Esports. There we go. I feel like this is going to be an answer. This is going to be something we're going to be answering for a while. But yes, for those that are unaware, Dark was teamless for a week or 2. For a couple of weeks, Dark was teamless. He was let go by CranKy Gaming, and he has found a new home. He's found a new home, he's found a new team, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hecate, we have a red Zerg player representing his new team, Talon Esports, once again going for a 15-15. It is Dark. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss representing himself, currently teamless, down in this series, but not out, not by any means. It is NightMare. We go. So someone asking in the chat, is this live? The cast is live, but these are replays from matches that happened less than 24 hours ago. Again, we weren't able to cast this live, unfortunately, but we do have access to the replays, so hey, these games are less than a day old, and we are able to dive on top of this and bring you these matches here before you. As we do have Dark again going for a 15-15 opener. Really safe build. I do like this. NightMare, he's known for his aggression. NightMare, he thrives in the mid game mainly, and Dark, he just wants to be safe. Just wants to be safe overall. Wants to make sure that he deters any kind of Twilight Council play and Glaive Adept play. Wants to make sure he can securely get into the mid game. Dark, this build may be putting him behind slightly economically, but Dark is willing to be put behind and willing to just be safe overall. "24 hours. So old, but true." So old, Papi. So old. Ay. Can't believe it, Papi. Can't believe it. How dare I? But yeah, unfortunately, as you can imagine, the Korean StarCraft League is at a really good time for Korea, really bad time for Europe, and I'm currently traveling. I'm currently here in Poland for IEM Katowice. So because I'm in Poland, it's suddenly I can't cast KSL live. It's not in a good time. So feels bad, man. Feels bad. When I go back to Australia, then I can cast KSL live again. But I'm sure a lot of the people watching right now wouldn't be able to watch it live, especially if you're based in Europe. For those that are curious, I think it starts at like 2 a.m. See, Central European time. I think like 2 or 3 a.m. So not the best time in Europa. But here we go. Lings, they do get across the map, and we do get a free scout. NightMare is indeed going for a Twilight Council opener. I was just talking about this. The build of Dark was designed to deter this kind of play, to deter something like Glaive Adepts, but NightMare, he embraces it anyway. Twilight Council's finishing up. We have the Robo on the way, and we have not pulled out a gas. This looks like Dark Templar. Looks like a Dark Shrine, but we'll see. We'll see how NightMare pieces this all together. As there it is, the Dark Shrine has been thrown down. Reason why I assume this is because we didn't pull out a gas. To go into Glaive Adepts, or at least 4-gate Glaive Adepts, you pull out a gas, as you don't need as much. We stayed in, we're going for DTs. Dark Templar on the way. And we'll see if Dark can piece this together. I mean, Dark, he already has a piece of the puzzle. He throws down his Roach Warren very early here at around the 3-minute 30 mark. Very early Roach Warren. With that, Dark, he's going to be ready for anything that comes his way. He should be going for safety Spore Crawlers. Even though he hasn't seen the Dark Shrine, he knows to prepare for it anyway. So in a couple of moments, we should be seeing some detection thrown down as NightMare moves out across the map. Dark just droning as much as he can, taking his gases, getting up to 3 gas saturation to afford his roaches, and he's working towards his third. Now, fun fact, Dark's third base is delayed. He did delay his third in favor of droning and in favor of just focusing on his own production and his own gas income. And here we go. The Prism is moving out. As we mentioned, as the Prism moves out, spores are on the way. Now, we have this spore covering the main, or covering the natural, and this does cover the entry point into the main as well, as long as the Prism doesn't bypass that spore. Speaking of, we may be able to. The Prism is here. Third base is looking exposed as well. Spore is done. We do have, there we go. We have a backup spore in the natural, another spore in the main base as well. We're covering our bases. DTs are waddling in, and they are spotted. Oh, they are spotted. 1 DT goes down already. Not the best start here from NightMare, losing 1. Spore finishes up, and we go for the others. And up, they barely do escape. They barely do survive. But that was still a rough moment. NightMare losing a Dark Templar for nothing, essentially, and his opener hasn't achieved too much. Now, thankfully, the power of a Dark Shrine opener is partly the DTs, true, but also the Archons. You can always morph these Dark Templar into Archons. You can shut down Overlords as a result. You can harass Mineral Lines. You can harass Queens. There's layers to this opener. There's layers to this build. And regardless, this is keeping Dark back at home. As we clear up as much creep as we can. Again, Dark has no mobile detection. Lair is still on the way. So we're doing a great job here just clearing up so much of this creep. Oh my god. We're still gaining value is what I'm getting at. Yeah, more creep going down. Lair just now finishing up. And finally, we can work towards a Spire. Oh my god. Muta's gonna be on the way. Spire has been thrown down. Detection as well, of course, with that Overseer. And we will eventually respread all this creep as we've... How many tumors? We can't see. Oh. I don't have the kill count for tumors, but I want to say like 10, maybe 12. That was a lot of tumors going down. Jesus. Behind this NightMare, he's transitioning into Blink, into a Forge, into +1. Now, what is a little bit worrisome is that NightMare hasn't scouted. He hasn't gotten in between the bases. He doesn't know about the Spire. Not yet. He is in the dark. As he rotates around, but we do have detection. 4th base is safe and sound. As NightMare, he's taking up a little bit further. He's working towards a Bay. Working towards, I imagine, Disruptors. Especially against a Roach heavy composition. Meanwhile, here comes the Stalker-based army. We're looking to force a cancel. And the base is cancelled. We contain Dark here to 3 bases. At the same time, a massive link counterattack. The army's not here. Oh, we're out of position. We denied the 4th, but at the same time, we get into the mineral line. Good defense so far. Shield battery goes down, but we do save the mineral line for the time being. Clutch warping of Zealots. Lings, they do pull back. And NightMare, he does rotate around. Blink is done, by the way. And we catch a drone. Up. Up. Just barely get eyes on that would-be 4th. Our NightMare doing well, containing his opponent. A couple of Lings do get caught out. Fourth base is denied. Dark still stuck on 3-base economy. Going for a Ling run by across the map, but we are looking solid back at home. NightMare cleans up all the Lings, forces Dark back. Meanwhile, Dark, did we finish? We did complete the Spire, but oh, we have invested. We have gone into a wave, a flock of mutas. Only 7. Okay, so 7 mutas. This is enough to one-shot workers. You can one-shot probes with actually 6 mutas, to be honest. But we have made a couple of extra mutas here just to be safe. Just to make sure we gain map control and fight back, and ideally force back these Stalkers. These Stalkers, they're constantly going to be coming in and denying the 4th base. Ideally, these mutas force these Stalkers back home and allow Dark to expand. There it is, mutas have revealed themselves. The Stalkers are racing back home. They're forced to recall. Mutas are recalling. 4th base is getting up and running. And 10 probes go down. Oh, we do pick off one of those mutas. Potentially a second. Oh, good links. Good links here by NightMare. 12 probes go down, and we are stuck, busy chasing down these mutas. Meanwhile, back at home, Dark is resaturating. He's working on +2, Baneling Nest, Baneling Speed, Ling Bane, Roach Ravager. We are done with mutas. They're only designed to buy time and harass, while Dark gets back into this. Meanwhile, I did see a Baneling Waddle buy. Doesn't get a lot of damage done. And on top of that, Dark also confirmed the army. He saw the disruptors. He's aware. So aware of the disruptors. Do rotate back around. Likewise, we have Lings fanning out here for Dark. Oh my god, okay, we have mutas in the main, Lings towards the natural, and Lings toward the 3rd base as well. We're going to try and pull NightMare apart. NightMare is pushing through the center. He's out of position. Not like this. He is moving out. As he moves out, his bases are so vulnerable. And we're waiting to pull the trigger. Banelings are on the way. NightMare, okay, is looking for the army. He's pulling back. Thankfully, he does come across some of the Ling Bane. And the army has been revealed. Dark, he's dragging the army further towards the left-hand side. Banelings, they do crash in. 10 probes go down. And we pull the trigger. We're going for the 3rd. NightMare, he's racing back home. Does race back home. Mutas, they do get into the main base. Trading with the army. Good Nova here on the Lings. Good juggling as well. At the same time, Dark, he does come in from the left-hand side. NightMare, he's holding on. For the most part, he is keeping up, but this base is getting very low. And the Banelings, they crash in. They roll into the mineral line. They crash into those probes. And it looks like we barely bring down the Nexus. Was this worth it, though? Because we are forcing an all-in. NightMare, he lost his base. He's stuck on 2 bases. There's no turning back. We have to go. Vials are connecting. Ravagers are going down. The economy of NightMare is in shambles. It's all or nothing. The mutas are still wreaking havoc. They're still in the main. And can Dark survive? It's going to be close. It is going to be close here. We are massing Banelings. Banelings are not ideal against Stalkers. Nova goes off. Decent connection. Another Nova zones back the army. But NightMare, we have to keep pushing. We cannot pull back. As again, the mutas, they still confirm the lack of 3rd. 8 more probes went down. NightMare down to 37. But the Banelings, they're buying so much time. 24 more Lings on the way. The Nova. Decent connection. Decent connection with the Nova, but we force back the army. Oh my god, the Banelings, they crash into the Stalkers. And 24 Stalkers go down. We have 30 left. We cut the Stalker count in half. And we have another wave of Banelings. Oh, they just don't stop. The Ling Bane. There's just an endless wave always available here to Dark. Just buying time, reproducing his Ling Bane, collapsing once again. There's one disruptor behind this. Archons are on the way. The mutas, they come in from behind. Good connection. A good Nova on the Banelings, but it may just not be enough. Again, NightMare, he's running out of steam. He's running out of units. This is all he has left. We take down the disruptor. Likewise, you can see that Dark, he's also barely holding on. No more Banelings this time. It's Lings and Roaches. And Dark is pulling back. Remember, Dark, he can afford to give up a base, but he won't have to. He gets us around, comes in from behind, collapses on these Stalkers, and we clean up the army. There's nothing left. GG gets called, and Dark will take a 2-0 lead in our grand finals. GG. GG, well played. Again, NightMare, he was holding on. I was impressed that he was able to, or that he thankfully didn't move out prematurely. He was sticking back at home. He was keeping up with a lot of the movement of Dark. That's true. But unfortunately, Dark still busted in anyway, was able to kill the base, cripple the economy, force the all-in. There was no turning back there for NightMare. There was nothing back at home waiting for him. And unfortunately, Dark just had more than enough to hold on. Yeah, just wave after wave of Bailings, buying so much time for himself. Did survive. GG. GG, well played. With that, we're on match point. With this Dark, he has one more game to take here to win it all. NightMare has to fight back here and now. To be fair, when it came to the DT opener, it was okay, right? Like, sure, we didn't kill a lot of workers, that's true, but we killed a lot of creep. We denied the 4th base. It came down to the mutas. I want to bring it all the way back to the Spire play, right? The mutas did so much. NightMare, he was actually achieving or doing quite well with his stalkers, right? He was able to deny the 4th base. He had an overwhelming stalker army, but he had to run all the way back home. He did not scout the Spire. The mutas caught him off guard. A lot of probes are falling, and from that moment onwards, Dark gained map control. He gained control of the map. He was able to reestablish his 4th base, and yeah, just kind of be in the driver's seat from there. Unlucky that NightMare just wasn't able to get eyes on that Spire and prepare for those mutas. They did blindside him, they caught him completely off guard, and they did lead Dark into that victory. But now we're getting into game number 3. Match point. Match point for Dark. Catching up in the chat. I was mainly asking if it's something like Major switching his name to Special. Not yet. I guess the biggest name change right now is, I guess, Shin, if you know Ragnarok. Has been Shin for a year now, to be fair, for a year, as we're loading into game number 3, potentially the final game of our finals, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkyone, we have our red Zerga player going for a 15-15. Once again, 3 games in a row. Representing his new team, Talon Esports, it is Dark. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss, currently teamless. But again, he's done so well for himself tonight. He took down Creator. He took down a Hero. But he's struggling here against Dark. Can we fight back? It is NightMare. Here we go. Again, we're loading into Alkyone, one of the larger maps in the map pool, known for its macro games, known for its long late gameplay as well. The reason for this is because of the base setup here. Your 3rd base, your would-be 4th, even your 5th base is pretty well defended here, thanks to all the ramps, all the high ground, the choke points as well. You can set up quite nicely here and force a longer game. The problem, I would say, is that NightMare isn't really known for his late game. He can play it, don't get me wrong, and sometimes he's forced into a longer game, but that's not really where he thrives. He thrives here in the mid game with his Blink Stalkers, with his aggression, with his DTs, his Glaive Adepts, what have you. That's typically the wheelhouse, the stomping ground of NightMare. Not so much in a longer late game. So I'm curious how NightMare will approach this, how he adjusts on Alkyone. We'll see. We shall see. Meanwhile, Dark, he's quite fond of taking the gold. We've already seen him take the gold today against Estrella. Did rush into this gold base. Unfortunately, though, this time, no gold. I say unfortunately. I like it when he spices it up, Tyler. I like it. No gold base this time. Not yet, at least. Not yet. As a NightMare, this time he goes to the pylon a little bit further out, and he is going for the Stargate. He is going for a Stargate opener. Yeah, to wind it back, because I see, I was amazing my Dark. Those mutas were brilliant. Typically, like, muta responses are quite common against DT openers, just to help shut down those prisms, the Warp Prism, I should say. But specifically, if you remember, NightMare, he avoided morphing in the Archon, which also would have been a great way to scout. That's why it can be, honestly, it can be a little bit hard to pull off mutas against DT openers. The reason for this is because typically after a DT opener, you would morph in 4 DTs into 2 Archons and you'd be dropping and harassing. Specifically, you'd be harassing the mineral lines. You'd be dipping in between the bases with your Warp Prism and zoning back the Queens and killing some drones. But NightMare didn't do that. Remember? He went DTs and he kept them as Dark Templar, and he only had 2 at the end. He didn't warp in an extra pair, and he didn't go for Archon Harass because he went for Blink Stalkers instead. That's where his gas was spent. That's where his resources were spent. That's where his attention did lie. So yeah, it was really interesting that because of the playstyle of NightMare, there was less opportunity to actually scout and get a read on the Spire as well. That's like another kind of layer that led into the fact that NightMare didn't scout and he didn't confirm what was happening. A more traditional DT opener would have had a stronger chance of scouting because it would have led into Archon drops. Anyway, we're getting into this. We're getting into game number 3 here, as Dark does set up his third. Going to be joining on up as well. Of course, prepared for the Oracle-based opener. And for the first time this series, pretty standard play. It's going to be triple Oracle into a third base. If you remember, game 1, NightMare went for a Void Ray opener. Game 2, it was a Twilight Council into DTs. Here in game 3, standard. And this makes sense. We spoke about the features of this map of Alcyone, how macro-oriented it is. A standard opener makes perfect sense here on this map because of that. Meanwhile, that's going to be a 4-minute 30 layer timing here for Dark. Interesting decision, going for the Roach Warren as well. Now, oh god, as the Oracles, they dive in between the bases, and the Oracles do go down. NightMare flying too close to the sun there. He does get burned. Really good positioning out of Dark. He shuts down the Oracles, and they have not paid for themselves. This is a rough start here from NightMare. Losing 1 Oracle for 2 drones. Ay. We spoke about this. If you're going for a blink-heavy style, and it is Blink Stalkers on the horizon, Oracles are so invaluable. This is the good thing about Hero. Like Hero, if you watch his ZvPs, if he ever does happen to lose an Oracle early on, he will replace it. 100%. He'll go back in and he'll make a 4th Oracle, a 5th Oracle if need be. He's so adamant about making sure he has Oracles to support. Even if he slips up, he will replace it, and that's something that NightMare is not doing here. He's sticking with 2 Oracles and working towards Blink Stalkers. Meanwhile, Dark back at home, getting up to 4 bases. Overseer Scout comes in. He does confirm the Twilight Council and the Forge. He's aware of the Blink-based follow-up. Oracles do take a lot of hits. And Dark, upon seeing this, no fear, goes straight for the Infestation Bit. I mean, he didn't see a Gateway Explosion. Oh my god. He didn't see a Gateway Explosion because there is none, because we're going into Phoenixes. Okay. I was not expecting this. We're going +1 Blink into double Stargate Phoenix plus a Templar Archives plus Archons. We're taking up in a couple of different directions. I'm a little bit perplexed with a Robo on the way. It's just getting everything. Why not? Okay, we got a Robo, Templar Archives, double Stargate Phoenix. Usually we focus in one direction, so I'm curious to see how this all pieces together here. Like, he's cooking, Papi. He's cooking. I'm ready for it. What do you got, Papi? What do you got? It's whatever it is. It's very tech heavy. Like, we're spending so many resources here on upgrades, on production, on specialized units as well. This does mean that the main army of NightMare is vulnerable. The main army is lacking. And if Dark were to push, NightMare wouldn't have much to defend. But Dark is doing the next best thing. He isn't pushing, but he is taking up into Hive. Dark, he recognizes how defensive or how passive his opponent is being, and we are rushing into Hive Tech. This will be for Vipers, this could be into Ultras, into Lurkers. Dark, he's not resting on his laurels, he's not staying on Lair Tech and maxing out on Lingbane Roach Ravager. He's building up. As NightMare goes for now his delayed Gateway Explosion. We have built up towards how many Phoenixes? 6 Phoenixes? Jesus. We are soon pushing out. With Phoenixes specifically. No fourth base yet, but we are building up towards that as well. Hive is done. We have Adrenal on the way. We have access to Vipers if need be. Dark still doesn't really know what he's up against. He still needs to get a read on, like, are there Colossi, are there Disruptors? Do I even need Vipers? Ultra Caverns on the way. Yeah, I mean, not a bad option. Not a bad option at all here for Dark. If Dark was going Spire, then NightMare would be blind countering him. That's why I'm not convinced by this. So, Phoenixes can also do really well against Lurker Tech. If Dark was going into Lurkers, then I'd be a little bit afraid for him. But it's Ultras, and if you didn't know, Ultras, they're thick boys. They're massive units. They cannot be lifted. And here we go. NightMare working towards a fourth, and now we're getting into Sky Toss. An interesting transition into Sky Toss. Again, I'm not convinced by the Phoenixes. It does feel like a bit of blind tech hoping to catch out his opponent. If it was Mutas or if it was Lurkers, then this would be ideal. But these Phoenixes haven't really achieved too much, and that was quite a big investment. Regardless, we're building up towards Sky Toss. Carriers. Lings, they do confirm the fourth. Dark moving out. He's got his Lings towards the left-hand side. We've got the Roaches towards the right. Trying to catch out the army. Yeah, they bust through the rocks, head towards that would-be fourth. There is an army waiting. Storm is not done. And we dive on top of the Archons. One Archon gets picked off. Good value here out of Dark. Gets an Archon, does pull back. As he distracts the army, tries to go for a run by NightMare. He does warp in time. But he does lose another Archon. Just value trades here out of Dark. Behind this, his goal base is getting up and running. I mean, he's been left alone, right? Like, NightMare hasn't been harassing at all outside of his Oracles in the early game. And Dark, he's running away with this. He's on 88 drones. He's on 6 bases. Greater Spire on the way alongside the Ultra Cavern. Takes down another Archon. Phoenixes, they pick off a couple of Roaches. Pretty good. A lot of Roaches going down. The Valiants, they do roll on forward, but we have a Stalker. Ooh, Stalker does go down alongside the Cybercore. But we do hold. Do manage to hold on. As the Ultras have been revealed. From these Ultras, we're going into double Immortal production. Good transition here out of NightMare. No Sky Toss yet, by the way. He has the Fleet Beacon, but no Mothership, no Carriers, no Tempest. No nothing. Seeking with a ground-based army, and that's a lot of Ailings on the way. Ultras, they try to find a way in. Not yet. So far, again, NightMare, he's pretty heavily fortified on 4 bases. But what about the 5th? That's the question. Honestly, that's all Dark has to do. Just contain his opponent on 4 bases. But he wants more than that. He rolls into the mineral line, rolls into the Nexus. Will take down some workers, but the Ultras are forced back. Again, the Immortal army is just a little bit too much. And the Banelings don't get much damage done either. Good reaction out of NightMare. He saves almost every single probe. And here comes the Mothership. It is on the way. And a 3rd Stargate. And +1 air attack. We're building up towards Carriers. We're not there yet, but we are getting there. Oh my god. Aliens do detonate. Meanwhile, Dark, he's still committed to Lingbane Ultra. So far, this hasn't really paid for itself. Dark has been a little bit wasteful. A little bit wasteful with his Banelings. You can see that he's burning through his gas bank. Does have a better economy, so he can afford to trade in efficiently, but Dark has to be careful. Does have to be careful. He does rotate towards that natural. The wall! No, like this. The wall is not a wall. The Lings, they flood into the main. They flood in towards that natural as well. Banelings, they roll into the 3rd. And this time, what's the reaction? No reaction. Massive detonations. 26 probes go down. And the Banelings, they do not quite make it towards the 4th base, but damage is done. And this is what Dark was hoping for. I'm like, Papi, do we want to stay on Lingbane Ultra? Like, we're not really getting value. He's like, mate, I'll show you value. okay, Dark, okay. I shouldn't have doubted you. He just makes magic happen anyway. He does pull back. We're getting into Corruptors. Mothership was revealed. And to be fair, this is a pretty deathful. This is a pretty hefty army. How many Immortals? 7 Immortals, 6 Archons. This is pretty beefy, and this can fight an Ultra-based army, 100%. This cannot fight Broodlords, though. And do we have a Greater Spire? We do. Greater Spire is done. Corruptors are on the way. What I'm concerned about is that we don't really have an answer for Broodlords. Yes, we have a couple of Phoenixes, but Phoenixes, they don't really have a lot of DPS. And there it is, 7 Broodlords on the way. Carriers are in production, thankfully. It looks like they're lined up and they're going to come out in time. As the Broodlords attack, there will be carriers to defend. How many Corruptors, though? 7. Soon to be 9. 9 Corruptors. Is that enough? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting dynamic here. We'll see how this turns out. A lot of it is going to come down to the angle of attack. Whether or not the Corruptors can zone away the carriers. Do we have Storm? That's another big question. We do. Storm is done. Archons are available. We should be able to protect the carriers from the Corruptors. We should be able to. But I do think that without Tempest, as the Phoenixes do reveal themselves, without Tempest, I feel like Broodlords should come out on top. You see NightMare pushing on the left. Broodlords pushing right through the center. And then we're going to be threatening the gold. We will threaten the gold. And the gold is going to be cancelled. Yeah, Corruptors have arrived. Phoenixes are trying to come in. That's a kill. That's a kill, not a cancel on that Nexus. The Phoenixes are taking a lot of damage. Storm does connect. Not too bad, but we have Spores to support as well. Yeah, Dark, he takes a better fight. Takes a better fight. Chips away at the ground army as well. This should force out Tempest, and there it is. Tempests are on the way. But without Tempest, again, we just cannot engage. Yeah, the Broodlords, they pick up another cannon for free. Cannon goes down. Vipers are on the way. Second Spire as well for double upgrades. Dark is still in the driver's seat. NightMare forced to expand elsewhere. And we still have to wait for those Tempests. They're coming, though. They are coming. They're on the way. To take down another base. At the same time, Phoenixes, they pick off a couple of workers across the map. But the Broodlords, they are gaining ground. At least until the Tempests arrive. And the Tempests, they have arrived. The Mothership alongside them. Of course, with the Mothership, we can always recall. The Broodlord count's still looking strong. We have 7, I believe. Yeah, 7 Broodlords. Oh, I was like, why is Dark looking here? Oh, the changelings, Poppy. One of us. Oh no, he sees. Never mind. Changelings do go down. Oh, I didn't realize +1 was denied earlier with the Bailing Run-By. The Bailing Roll-By did actually deny +1 air attacks, so a big delay there for NightMare. His upgrades are pretty far behind as a result. Broodlords are pushing. Yeah, second Cybercore on the way. It makes sense to get into double upgrade production to catch up. NightMare is slowly getting his would-be 5th base up and running. Phoenixes are still alive. I wasn't certain about that, but they're still there. They're still kicking. As Darky throws away his roaches, rebuilding with more Corruptor, more Broodlord. How many Infestors? 0 Infestors. We have 3 Vipers. And that's really what we're looking for. We're looking to abduct the Tempest or the Carriers, or both, really. Abduct whatever we can. Base is going to be falling, or the building's going to be falling here. Bailey's they roll into the mineral line. NightMare, he does react. He does pull back in time. We're going for it, though. Big storms. Bailey's they will not connect. They get 6 probes. We gain some value. Some damage is dealt. Ultras at the same time, they head towards the would-be sick. Sick Nexus. That is a cancel, thankfully. Not a kill. We do cancel it in time. But hey, at least NightMare gets a 5th base. At least it is up and running. It is defended. It is fortified. Dark, I'm sure, waiting for his upgrades. +3 air attack is on the horizon. Don't want to hit an anti-timing. Ooh, as we do go for a big Link counter attack. Whole position here in the mineral line, but they will be cleaned up. Not the most saturated mineral line, unfortunately. There's no shield battery. Uh-oh. No shield battery at this space. At the same time, here comes the Immortal-based army towards the left-hand side. NightMare catches some drones. Ooh. Big storm, but the Broodlords, they happen to be in position, and the Broodlords will clean this up. We do kill a base, but we kill 23 per. Oh my god! 23 workers go down. Dark, he goes ham in this mineral line. The Lings, they got out of control. On top of that, these Immortals, it's a one-way trip. They're gonna go down. This is a trade that we can't really afford. As NightMare, he keeps on pushing, takes down another base. Kills 2 hatcheries. True. Does kill 2 hatcheries, but he loses the mineral line. Here comes the yoink! The mothership! -300. It survives! Oh my god. The mothership does make it out. Let's go. The new mothership. Not useless, Papi. It's good. As we get the Nidus into the main. Another Ling run by once again. Going for the Nexus this time, and we will get it. Nexus does fall. Ling run by here towards that 3rd base. We saw this against Estrella, just the non-stop Ling counter attacks. And NightMare's army is just so immobile. It's so immobile, he cannot keep up. Nidus in the main, Lings towards the natural. And we kill both bases. Both Nexi fall. NightMare, he just cannot keep up. We go for the High Templar. We get 1! Almost 2. As the Lings, they flood into the main base. Queens as well. Queens? A little bit ambitious. Lings are going to be going down. And the Corruptors, they just come in from the right-hand side again. We're just pulling them apart. We're going to kill. We snipe the last mining base. And we go for the mothership. This time it goes down. NightMare just pulled apart completely. Left and right. Bases are falling. The army's getting picked apart. Now we get the -300, -300. Dark just with full control. The Niduses, they don't stop. The Overlord is still there. And behind this, Dark, he's just still happily mining. Doesn't have the best economy. He's only on 60 workers, but he's mining freely. Has a better economy than his opponent. That's all that matters. 7 more Broodlords on the way. 15 more Corruptors. We're transitioning out of Lingbane into mass Skyzerg. Just mass Broodlord Corruptor. Look at the units tab. No more Ultras. We threw away the Ultras. We threw away the Lings. We threw away the Roaches. And we have the ideal army. Vipers, Corruptors, and Broodlords. We're on 3-3, by the way. Sorry, +3 air attack. Soon to be +2 air carapace. But what does NightMare have left? He has 3 carriers, 4 Tempest. A handful of units on the ground. Really, it's not going to be enough. We just dive in. We go for the power bomb. We dive on the carriers and we clean everything up. There's nothing left in the sky. The Corruptors, after they clean everything up, we can just turn and morph into Broodlords. Speaking of, the Broodlords, they just bully back the ground army. And Dark, he's looking to clean this up. Looking to go undefeated here in the grand finals. As here in the late game, Dark, he has some of the best. He does thrive here in the late game. I know that Dark, he's known for his aggression, but again, mate, he can play a late game like no other. A very aggressive one. Just like what we saw against Estrella. Very similar to what we saw against Estrella. Storm's going to be connecting. But the Archons, they cannot get close. The Broodlords are untouched. And there just is no answer to them. Not anymore. GG gets called, and Dark will take the series 3-0, becoming this week's KSL champion. GG. GG, well played. Dark does take it in the end, flaunting some different styles as well. Bear in mind that NightMare was far more aggressive in Game 1 and Game 2. Here in Game 3, NightMare tried to embrace the late game in a really weird way. If you remember, he did open up very tech heavy, but did go double Stargate Phoenix wasn't really harassing with the Phoenixes if you remember. He was just keeping them back at home. He was defending with them, that's true, but not doing much else. I'm not too sure if I'm convinced. I did mention before that it did feel like a blind counter. In case Dark did go Spire or did go Hydra Lurker, then the Phoenixes would be more valuable. But, and to be fair, like, they did survive until the end of the game. That's true, they did survive, but I don't know how much they were really adding, and that big investment into those Phoenixes could have been, you know, a faster transition to Sky Toss, could have been a faster second Robo and a faster fourth base, and those resources could have been spent elsewhere is what I'm getting at. So I don't know if I'm convinced. Not the first time we've seen NightMare go for this style. I'd probably be thinking differently if we did harass with them, right? If we were active, if we if we did move out, then maybe I'd think differently. But regardless, GG, well played. Dark looking dominant here. And once again, we mentioned it coming into this series. NightMare, he's amazing in PvP. He's amazing in PvT, right? Like, he took down Hero. He took down Hero in the semifinals. Last week, NightMare took down Byun in the grand finals. Like, NightMare has some of the best Protoss versus Terran and Protoss versus Protoss out there in Korea. Unironically, he's a very specialized player. What he lacks, what he struggles with, is PvZ. PvZ, it is his worst matchup, and it is something that he has to work on. As a result, when he goes up against Dark, and typically players like Solar and Shin as well, NightMare does struggle that much more. And regardless, a really good run, a very good performance here. NightMare did make it all the way to the grand finals. I don't want to take that away from him, right? Made it all the way to the finals and had an amazing performance getting here, but Dark is still that one step above, and I look forward to seeing more of Dark, right? Like, it's great to see that he's being supported by a new team, and it's great to see that Dark, of course, is going to be coming in motivated into IEM Katowice. IEM is going to be a big event here for a lot of these big names. Players like Dark, Hero, Serral, Raynor, Clem. Keep your eye out on all these players because they're all going to be duking it out here in the coming days. We are 4 days away. Less than a week. 4 days away from day one of IEM. Look forward to it. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful here. When it comes to IEM, very briefly, because we don't have that many broadcasts in between leading up to IEM Katowice, but my eyes are definitely on Dark. They're on Maru. If you were watching Masters Coliseum, then you would know that Maru is in form right now. Maru, I know it's sacrilege to say, he's looking like the best Terran. I know that Clem was looking hot after ESL Masters Winter. That is true, 100%. But in Masters Coliseum, Maru did look that much stronger, especially in the group stage. Maru was looking impressive. He was looking better than he has in years. I'll be honest. Like, Maru, there's a lot of hype. Like, he's a really good player, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Like, it feels like we haven't seen that kind of star power performance, that champion performance of Maru in quite some time. But that did make a resurgence in Master Coliseum. It was amazing to see him against Serral. It was amazing to see him in that group stage. So my eyes are on Maru as well. My eyes are also obviously on Serral. For those that were watching Master Coliseum, you would know Serral went undefeated in the playoffs. Serral did not drop a map in the playoffs. It was scary. like Serral, and he wasn't up against any low tier player. Like, he was up against the best of the best in the world in Master Coliseum. This was like 2 weeks ago. And let me just quickly open up the Wikipedia page. Serral, he 3-0'd Solar, he 3-0'd Maru, he 4-0'd Raynor, and he 5-1'd Hero. Hero was the only player to take a game, and it was only a single game loss in the entire playoff bracket. So, I mean, props to Hero, right? Hero, that's another player that we're looking at. But props to Hero. He was the only one to really, like, put a blemish on Serral. But outside of that, Serral was looking unstoppable. And yeah, he is very much so in form. I know that we've had, like, periods of time where, like, Raynor's been, like, looking stronger, or, like, Raynor, like, he won, like, Home Story Cup, for example, over Serral. And even in WTL, Serral was struggling in ZvZ. But what I will say is that over the past maybe month and a half, 2 months, Serral, he has been improving in ZvZ. And we have seen that whenever he goes up against Solar nowadays, whenever he goes up against Raynor, Serral is so much more aggressive and so much more assertive. ZvZ was his weak point, and I still think it still is, but he is so much better at it. He's so much more confident and so much more willing to dictate the pace of the game. Serral was looking terrifying against both Raynor and Solar in Master Colosseum. So Serral's another one to look at. Hero is the other. Very quickly, Hero, I think I would go as far as to say that he has the best PvZ in the world. I do think his PvZ is better than MaxPax right now. Hero, he took down Solar, Dark, and Raynor in Masters Colosseum, and he went to the ace match against Raynor previously as well. And he beat MaxPax. Like, Hero, his PvZ is out of this world. He does regularly beat Dark. I'm sure Dark is happy to see that Hero didn't make it to the finals, because Hero is usually favored against Dark as well. And again, Hero was the only player to take a game off of Serral. So Hero, he's your Protoss hope, and I do expect him to go far. Can he beat... The question becomes, can anyone beat Serral? We'll see. But I expect deep runs nonetheless from a lot of these players. And I look forward to it, because a lot of these guys are looking very much so in form. A lot of these guys looking scary. When it comes to Raynor, I know Raynor has been boot camping. I know Raynor, he has been training, and I know he's been focusing a lot on IEM Katowice. He's been having mixed success in a lot of these online tournaments, but the reality is that what matters isn't really in the lead up to the event, but the event itself, right? It's like Raynor, he just has to be coming in form, well rested, prepared, solid, and Raynor can make a deep run as well. Likewise, Clem, I know Clem, his biggest weak point has been TVT, and it's been what a lot of players have been taking advantage of. We saw that in WTL, we saw that in a lot of the online weeklies. So that is something that is concerning for Clem, but I know that I was hyping up Maru. I think I still, outside of Maru, I think Clem has, no, even with Maru involved, I think Clem has the best TVP in the world. I think Clem has the best turn versus Protoss in the world right now, and he's up there a lot. When it comes to TVZ, either best or second best. Like Maru and Clem, they go back and forth when it comes to who has the best TVZ out there. But they both look amazing in those matchups. Again, as I mentioned, Clem's weakest matchup is TVT. That is where he does falter the most. But outside of that, and even then, like, it's like, oh, Clem, he's got like an 80% win rate in TVT instead of like 90%. Like, how? It's awful. It's still amazing. It's still amazing. So yeah, like, that's gonna be another big one, of course, coming into IEM Katowice as well. Oh my god damn it. Hold on, I need to show this. God damn it. I was just talking about our players here, and I may as well show this on stream. Hold on. As we discuss. Hold on, that was our Home Story Cup broadcast. Un momento, por favor. As I open up the IEM bracket, because the groups are out, by the way, for those who are unaware. IEM Katowice on Wikipedia. Bam. And let's see here. Interact. We can close that. We can scroll down. So I just opened up the groups. I was talking about Clem, and then I see he's in the TVT group. That's there's Cure, Oliveira, and Bunny. The one matchup that he would like to avoid. To be fair though, I still favor Clem. But I can see upsets happening. So if you're a fan of Clem, give him some love, give him some support, because he's gonna need it getting out of the TVT group. I do favor Clem against both Shin and Stats. TVT can be very chaotic, especially in the new Cyclone meta. The Cyclown, Bobby, the Cyclown. So we'll see which Terrans make it out of Group B, as this is the setup for IEM Katowice. What else do we got going on here? We got Gumiho, Solar, Spirit, Hero Marine, Scarlet, Trigger. Let's go. I think this is a pretty... I want to say Scarlet has a good chance here. I want to say she has a good chance here against these players. I'm really curious to see the rematch between Scarlet and Hero Marine. We recently casted Scarlet versus Hero Marine in Home Story Cup, and Hero Marine, he clowned a little bit. He had fun with Cyclones. He just cycloned all over Scarlet. It was shaking my head. But I'm hoping we get some good bio play. Some good bio action would be fun there. In that matchup, we got Cyril, Bjorn, Estrella, I forgot Diego, Kellizer, Skillless, Firefly. I'm a big fan of Firefly. I look forward to seeing him. He is my dark horse pick. I want him to make it out of the groups. I want him to make it out. I do think he can. I can see Firefly. I want to believe. I want to believe he can make it out of Group C. Big fan of Firefly. Let's go. And down here we have Dark, Maru. Oh my god, what is this group? It's the group of death. We have Dark, Maru, Raynor, Hero, Showtime, and Cyan. Cyan is a bit of the odd one out. But remember, only 3 players make it out of the group. That is brutal. That is... Who seeded this? This is crazy. I know there are some big names in the other groups, but Group D is very much so stacked. It's overstacked. Like what happened? Oh my god, that's unfortunate. Oh my god. Only 3 can make it out. That's so sad. I want them all to make it out. I want Hero, Raynor, Maru, and Dark. Like they all deserve to make it into the playoffs. One of them won't. Shout out to Showtime, of course. Showtime is a great player as well. Don't get me wrong. That is brutal. That is... Aye. Not like this. Not like this, man. Cyril and Raynor both know how to peak. They do. That's true. It's very true. Is there an announcement post for Dark joining Talon? There is. On TL. On Team Liquid. There is. So yeah, this is gonna be a wild one. This is so hard to predict. Group D, who makes it out? I think Hero makes it out, I'll be honest. I think I was just hyping up Hero's PVZ. I think he does make it out. I think I favor Hero over Raynor and Dark. Hero, Maru, Raynor, or Dark, who makes it out of those? I don't know. it's hard to call. I don't think there's a wrong answer. Okay, the question becomes, is Raynor allowed to off race? Is he allowed to play Protoss against Dark? I hope not. I hope he's not tempted. I think I favor Dark against Raynor's Protoss. In ZvZ, it's hard to call. Maybe Raynor, maybe Dark. Could go either way. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be wild. Regardless. Anyway, it's gonna be a great tournament. It's gonna be a great event. Look forward to it. Look forward to IM again. 4 days away. Mark your calendars. And I'll be there. I'm currently in Poland. For those that are wondering, I know a lot of people were asking, like, "Yo, what's with the face, Papi?" Oh, I just really like the KSL. I really like StarCraft, Papi. Currently, I'm currently residing in Poland. I did get here a couple of days ago. I got here on Thursday. I got here on the first. So it's been 3-4 days. Been here for a couple of days, and I'm of course here for IM. I'm here for IM, Papi. So I'm gonna be there at the event. I'm not gonna be casting. I'm gonna be there spectating in the crowd. My first time going to a big major event like this, so I look forward to it. I'm a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm sure. Sure, it's gonna be a great time. So I'll be there in the crowd. Keep an eye out for a crowd shot. You might see some a Papi. You might see me. Otherwise, yeah, if anyone in the chat is gonna be there, reach out. Love to meet up. Love to hang out and indulge in StarCraft, in all the StarCraft. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time. Congratulations to Dark for becoming our champion. A shout out to NightMare for having a deep run, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for some more StarCraft action. Let me just double check. I believe tomorrow we're going to be casting ESL Open Cup Asia. In just under 24 hours, we're going to be casting ESL Asia, and we will also be casting ESL Open Cup Europe. Europe as well. Again, I'm here in Poland. ESL Open Cup Europe is actually at a pretty good time, so I'm more than willing to cast both of those events. I won't be casting ESL Americas. It's at an awful time. As you can imagine. So I'll be there casting Asia and Europe. That's the plan. That is the current plan. So yeah, tune in tomorrow for some more StarCraft action. It'll be great. It'll be beautiful. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. We'll see you guys next time. Until then, hasta luego. Take care. Take care of yourselves. Posture check. Drain your disruptors. Massage your marines. We'll see you next time. Bye. Bye. Hasta luego.